Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra Sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. I moved into the duplex on Birch Lane because the rent was cheap and the landlord didn't ask many questions, which should have been my first warning. The place smelled old, like dust and forgotten things, and the street was almost too quiet at night. It didn't bother me at first, because I kept telling myself I'd only sleep there, work during the day and mind my business. The neighbor moved in 2 weeks after me. Tall guy. Quiet. The kind of quiet that fills a hallway before he even speaks. His name on the lease paperwork was Avery Finch, and he looked like he stepped out of a black and white photograph. Pale skin, sharp jaw, neat black coat even in warm weather. We never talked beyond a nod, but I noticed things about him. Things you pick up when you live wall to wall with someone. No footsteps, no TV, no talking. No sound at all except for the creak of his door opening after midnight, every single night. I thought maybe he worked nights until I realized he never left through the front, only the back. Only when the porch light across the street flickered like a heartbeat. I tried ignoring it, but last Thursday around 1:30 a.m., I heard a sound on my side of the wall, a low, steady hum, like someone singing wordless notes into the drywall. The tone vibrated my bed frame. I sat up and listened, holding my breath. It wasn't humming, it was breathing. Slow, deep, hungry. I put my ear to the wall. The hum stopped instantly, like he knew. I froze. Then something tapped the other side of the wall. 1, 2, 3 taps, right where my ear rested. I pulled back and didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, the police taped off the end of the block. 2 cruisers, a sheet on the ground, neighbors whispering behind hands. The landlord standing in the street with his face white as chalk. He told me they found a woman behind the dumpster by the alley exit, said she had blood loss issues, which is a nice way of saying she didn't have enough left to stay alive. No prints, no signs of a struggle, no weapon, just 2 clean punctures at the base of her jawline. Everyone assumed animal attack. I knew better. That night I stayed awake on purpose. Lights off, curtains open just enough to see the backyard without being seen. Around 1:12 a.m., Avery's door opened. He stepped out silently, wearing that same long black coat, but he wasn't alone. A second figure followed him, unsteady, barefoot, a woman. Her head hung forward, arms limp at her sides. She looked like she was sleepwalking or drugged. Avery put his hand in the center of her back, guiding her toward the alley. Not pushing, not forcing, guiding. Like her body responded to something deeper than fear. They moved past the porch light. It flickered once, then went out completely. I didn't see what happened in the alley, but I heard her breath catch. Once, then nothing. Avery came back alone. His coat looked darker near the collar. Wet, shiny. He paused at his back door, then turned his head slightly toward my window. Not enough to see his face. Just enough to feel the weight of his attention. Like he knew exactly where I was sitting. He opened his door, went inside, shut it without a sound. I didn't move until sunrise. My hands shook for an hour. I should call the police, I know that. But every time I pick up my phone, I feel like he's listening through the walls again, waiting, humming that low, hungry sound. Sunday night, I heard him whisper something for the first time. Not through the wall, not from the hallway. He whispered it from inside my bedroom doorway. "Are you awake?" I didn't answer him. I couldn't. Every muscle in my body locked tight the moment I heard his voice in the doorway. It sounded close enough to touch me, but soft enough to feel like a thought instead of a sound. I kept my eyes shut, breathing slow and shallow. My heart hammered so loud I worried he could hear it. Maybe he could. Maybe that's what he was listening for. The floor didn't creak. The air didn't shift. It felt like he was just standing there, watching me, waiting for a reaction. A test. A choice. A mistake. After a long moment, he whispered again. "I can hear your fear." My chest tightened. It felt like something cold slid under my skin. Not a touch, but a knowing. A pull. Then the weight in the doorway was gone. Not footsteps. Not movement. Just gone. Silence like a vacuum left behind. I didn't sleep. Didn't blink for minutes. Only when the birds outside started chirping did I finally sit up. The doorway was empty. Nothing disturbed. Not even dust on the floor. My front door was still locked from the inside. He hadn't opened it. He didn't need to. Around noon, I asked the landlord if Avery had a spare key to my place. He laughed at first, like I was joking, then told me no one had keys except him and me. Said he didn't trust tenants with extras because people make copies. I didn't bother trying to explain my real concern. He wouldn't believe it anyway. That night, I sat on the couch with every light on. The TV played some late-night infomercial, but I wasn't watching it. I just needed noise. Anything louder than my thoughts. Around 12:43 a.m., the humming returned. Through the wall, low and steady. It vibrated the picture frames. It throbbed through the floorboards. But it wasn't random this time. It rose and fell in patterns. Almost like breathing. Almost like a heartbeat. I pressed my palm against the wall. It felt warm. Too warm for a dead winter night. Then the humming stopped. Instantly. Like a switch flipped the moment my skin touched the plaster. A voice followed. Close. Pressed right up against the other side. "Why are you afraid of me?" I jerked my hand back and stumbled across the room. He was talking through the wall, whispering like there was nothing between us. No structure, no barrier, just 2 inches of air. I stayed quiet, frozen. He spoke again, softer. "You see the ugly parts of the world. You understand hunger, but you fear mine." A cold wave rolled through me. Like he wasn't just speaking, he was pulling something out of my chest, something I didn't want to name. Then came the tapping. 3 slow taps, right over where my heart was pounding a moment ago. Tap, 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 as if he was knocking on me instead of the wall. I backed up until my shoulders hit the opposite side of the living room. The lights flickered once, then buzzed back to full strength. The tapping stopped. The humming stopped. Everything stopped. I didn't hear him again for the rest of the night. Not through the wall. Not in the hallway. Not in the doorway of my bedroom. But at sunrise, I found something outside my front door. Something small. Perfectly centered. Placed with intention. A folded piece of paper. My name written in ink I swear was still wet. Inside 2 words. "Let me in." Underneath the writing, a single drop of dried blood stained the corner. Mine. I checked my arms, my neck, my chest. A thin cut ran along my collarbone. Shallow, clean, like a single blade traced gently while I slept. He had touched me. He had already been inside again. He didn't need permission. The note was just a courtesy, a warning, a promise. The sun's up now. But I can hear him pacing in the room next door. Slow steps, deliberate, like he's waiting for something, or someone. Me. I didn't go to work the next day. I couldn't bring myself to leave the house. Every time the floorboards creaked or the heater kicked on, I jumped like something was about to grab me from behind. The note sat on the kitchen table, its edges curling slightly like it was breathing. "Let me in." Those words wouldn't leave my head no matter how hard I tried to push them away. I kept telling myself I imagined him in the doorway, my mind mixing nightmares with reality. But the thin cut across my collarbone said otherwise. It stung when I pressed on it. Warm, fresh, too precise to be an accident. Around noon, I finally stepped outside to get some air. Cold wind cut across the street, carrying the smell of damp leaves and something metallic. I tried to shake off the paranoia, but something felt wrong. Off. Like the world held its breath. When I glanced toward the alley, something caught my eye. A glint of light on the ground. I walked over slowly, forcing myself forward even though everything in my body told me to turn back. It was a bracelet. Silver. Bent. One of the charms cracked like someone crushed it in their fist. I recognized it. It belonged to the woman I saw Avery guiding into the alley 2 nights ago. She was missing now. And this was all that remained. My hands shook. I backed away. The street felt colder, the sky heavier, and the duplex behind me suddenly felt less like a home and more like a trap. When I returned inside, the humming started again. Not through the wall this time. From above me. The attic. I didn't even know we had an attic. I never saw a door. Never heard anything up there until now. But the sound was unmistakable. Low, rhythmic, pulsing through the ceiling like something alive was resting right above my head. I stood under it, listening. Each hum vibrated the air, slow, deep, hungry. The house grew colder. My breath fogged in front of me, and then the humming stopped, replaced by something else. Soft footsteps, right above my living room. I held my breath. One step, then another. Slow, too slow, like someone savoring each movement. I moved toward the hallway, but halfway there, something new came from the attic, a sound that shattered whatever courage I had left. A voice. Not his. A woman's voice. Weak, strained, whispering through the ceiling. "Help me. Please. He's here." My stomach dropped. The woman from the alley. She wasn't gone. She was up there, still alive. Barely. I stared at the ceiling, frozen. I wanted to run. I wanted to call someone. I wanted to pretend I didn't hear her. But her voice cracked with raw terror. "He's watching you. He's always watching. Don't..." Her voice cut off like fingers wrapped around her throat. A thud followed. Something heavy dragged across the attic floor. Then silence so complete it made my ears ring. I took a step back, then another. My pulse hammered in my neck. A soft knock echoed down the hallway. 3 taps. Steady. Measured. Coming from the attic access panel I never noticed before. A small square cutout near my bedroom door. Tap. 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 Then his voice seeped through the cracks in the ceiling. "You shouldn't listen to her. She doesn't understand our connection." Our connection. The words crawled under my skin like cold fingers. I backed into the living room and grabbed my keys, my jacket, anything I could carry. I swung the front door open, ready to bolt into the daylight. But Avery stood on the porch, not smiling, not threatening, just watching. His coat dripped something dark onto the steps. His eyes were wider than before, darker than before, like night itself had carved a home behind them. "You're leaving?" he asked softly. Not angry, not surprised, just curious, like he already knew the answer. I didn't speak. Couldn't. He tilted his head, just slightly, like a wolf examining a wounded animal. "It's cold outside," he whispered. "You should stay in. You're much safer in here with me." He stepped forward, and I stepped back. His fingers brushed the edge of the door, not pushing it open, just touching it, waiting, inviting. "Let me in," he repeated. "Just say the words." Behind him, something in the shadows moved. A shape. A second figure, crawling along the siding like a spider. A hand reached out of the darkness, pale, broken, trembling. The woman from the attic. Her mouth opened in silent horror, her eyes wide and desperate. Avery didn't look at her, didn't acknowledge her at all. He only watched me. "Choose," he whispered. "Her path, or mine." The woman's fingers stretched toward me, shaking violently. Her lips formed one word over and over. "Run." I slammed the door shut before I even thought about it. Pure instinct. The kind that comes from something older than logic, older than fear. The deadbolt clicked into place, and the whole frame shuddered like something heavy leaned against it from the other side. My breath came in fast, sharp pulls. I pressed my back to the door, holding it closed even though Avery hadn't tried to force his way in. Not physically. He didn't need to. His voice drifted through the wood like it wasn't even there. "You shouldn't shut me out. It hurts when you do that." My throat tightened. Every word he spoke crawled under my skin like it belonged there, like it had always belonged there. Then, the tapping started again. Not on the door this time. On the windows, the living room, the kitchen, the hallway. A pattern that moved around the entire house, circling it like a predator mapping its prey. Tap, tap, tap. Each knock precise and calm, like he was counting the seconds between my heartbeats. I stepped back slowly, gripping my phone with shaking hands. I dialed 911. My thumb hovered over the call button. Then I froze. Something pressed against the glass of the kitchen window. A pale shape. A hand. Thin fingers smeared with dirt and dried blood. The woman. Her face appeared next, barely visible through the smudged glass. Eyes wide, terrified, mouth moving silently. She wasn't banging on the window, wasn't trying to get in. She was warning me again. Run. Before I could move, shadows peeled away from the edge of the porch light. Avery stepped into view behind her. He didn't grab her, didn't touch her. He just placed one hand on the glass directly over hers, and she collapsed to her knees as if gravity doubled. Her head bowed, her shoulders shook, and she went still. Completely still. My finger hovered over the call button, but something in my gut twisted hard. A cold certainty I couldn't explain. If I called the police, he'd know. He always knew, and he'd come inside long before they arrived. I backed into the living room and shut the blinds. Every instinct screamed at me to hide, to curl up somewhere dark and wait for morning. But as I moved toward the hallway, the attic panel creaked. Not open, not closed, just shifting. Listening. I forced myself into my room and locked the door, even though I knew it meant nothing. My hands shook uncontrollably as I slid down to the floor. For a few minutes, there was only silence. Then footsteps moved across the roof, slow and deliberate. Not the woman, not something human. The sound stopped above my room. A whisper drifted through the ceiling, softer than breath. "You don't understand how rare you are. How long I've waited to find you." The floor under me vibrated gently, like the house itself responded to his voice. "You hear me when others don't. You feel me when others run. That makes you important. It makes you mine." A shiver went straight down my spine. I pressed my hand over my mouth to stop my breathing from breaking out loud. The attic access groaned again. Wood flexing, drywall cracking a little along the edge. He wasn't coming in. Not yet. He wanted me to say the words. He wanted permission. He wanted the door between us gone forever. My phone buzzed suddenly. A text. Unknown number. "He's lying. Don't let him in. He can't cross without your voice. Don't speak to him. Not even a whisper. He's trying to bind you." My heart raced. The message continued. I'm under the house. Crawl space near the back steps. If you want to live, get out now, before he gets tired of waiting. My throat tightened. A lump of dread swelled in my chest, so thick it hurt, because the text came with a photo, a selfie taken in the dark, dirty, bloody, eyes wide with terror. The woman, her lips cracked open in the image, and the final line was typed beneath it. Run now! As I stared at the screen, another whisper seeped from the ceiling vents. You're not running. You're listening. Good. I knew you'd choose me. The attic panel rattled hard. Dust fell like ash around the edges. The lights flickered. Avery was done waiting, and I was out of time. The attic panel slammed once, hard enough to shake dust loose from every beam in the ceiling. A sharp crack split down the drywall like the house was being pried open from the inside. Avery wasn't whispering anymore. He wasn't coaxing or tempting. He was moving. I grabbed my jacket and my phone and bolted for the back door. The cold night air hit me like a bucket of ice water, but I didn't stop. The porch light flickered violently, then went dark as I stepped outside. My breath fogged out in frantic bursts. Every instinct I had screamed move. The crawlspace hatch sat beneath the porch, a square of rusted metal with a loose padlock dangling open, exactly the way she said it would be. I dropped to my knees and yanked it up. The smell hit me first. Dirt, blood, rot. Something sweet and rotten mixed together. I crawled inside anyway. The hatch clanged shut above me. Darkness swallowed everything. My phone's flashlight flicked on with a weak glow, just enough to see the low passage ahead. Wooden beams, thick cobwebs, damp soil pressed into uneven ridges by something crawling through here night after night. I kept moving, my breath ragged, my heart pounding hard enough to echo. The message said, near the back steps, so I followed the faint footprints in the dirt, small, bare, and shaky. A whisper drifted through the boards above me. Not hers, his. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Come back. Come home. Home. The word twisted something in my chest. I forced myself deeper into the crawl space. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Hurry! I crawled faster. The tunnel widened into a cramped pocket under the house, and that's when I saw her. She was huddled under a beam, trembling, clutching her arms around herself. Her hair matted with dirt and blood, her skin pale and bruised, her eyes wide and unfocused, like she was drifting in and out of herself. But she was alive. Barely. She reached for me with shaking fingers. He knows. He's coming. We don't have much time. I grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the opening. We moved together, crawling fast, dirt sliding under our palms. The wood above us groaned loudly, footsteps pacing overhead, then stopping directly above the crawl space exit. Avery knelt down on the porch, his shadow bleeding through the cracks in the boards. His voice vibrated the air. You can leave with her, but you'll come back to me. You can't help it. You're marked. You're mine. The woman squeezed my hand with what little strength she had. Don't listen to him. Don't look at him. Just go. I shoved her ahead of me, guiding her toward the far exit near the fence line. My phone light flickered as we crawled. A cold wind swept through the crawlspace carrying Avery's scent, iron, old stone, dead flowers. The boards behind us shook, then splintered. Something dropped into the crawlspace with us. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. The air got colder, heavier, hungrier. The woman cried out and collapsed halfway to the exit. I grabbed her under the arms and dragged her. My muscles burned, my lungs screamed. The exit was 2 feet ahead, then 1. A hand wrapped around my ankle. Cold fingers, strong enough to stop my whole body in an instant. Avery's voice curved through the dark. You belong with me. You feel it. The pull. Don't fight it. The woman screamed. I kicked hard, twisting free, just far enough to dive toward the exit. I pushed her out first, shoving her into the open air beyond the house. The night wind blasted in, freezing and sharp. Then Avery's other hand clamped onto my collar, yanking me backward. His breath chilled the back of my neck. I'm patient, but not that patient. I twisted, grabbed a fistful of dirt, and threw it into his face. He recoiled only slightly, enough for me to rip myself forward and crawl through the opening. The woman grabbed my jacket and pulled. We spilled out into the yard, gasping, shaking, scrambling onto our feet. Behind us, Avery crouched in the crawl space opening. His eyes glowed like wet black stone. His fingers dug into the dirt, claws emerging where nails should have been. He didn't step out. He couldn't. The threshold held him back. For now. He tilted his head, smiled faintly. A slow, patient smile. You'll come back when the hunger starts. You'll understand then. You're already changing. You feel it, don't you? My stomach twisted painfully. A burning ache radiated up my spine. My vision blurred at the edges. For a moment, I swayed. The woman pulled me away, her voice breaking. Don't look at him. Don't breathe him in. Keep moving. We ran, bare feet slapping pavement, cold wind cutting through our clothes. Neither of us looked back. Not until we reached the streetlight at the end of the block. Its glow flickered above us, weak but real, human, safe. For now. The woman collapsed against the pole, sobbing. I leaned beside her, clutching my ribs as that burning ache pulsed again. She stared at me with hollow eyes. He marked you. He fed on you without breaking skin. You'll feel him inside your chest until the day he dies. I swallowed hard. The pain grew sharper, hungrier. My shadow under the streetlight twitched, like something inside it shifted out of sync. The woman's voice dropped to a trembling whisper. You're not free. You're just further from his door. I pressed my hand to my collarbone, right where his invisible bite had been. The skin was hot, throbbing, changing, and the night wind carried his voice from far down the block, soft, certain, inevitable. I'll wait for you, no matter how long it takes. You're mine now, and I always bring mine home. My chest tightened, my breath hitched. The hunger inside me clawed for something warm, something living. I staggered under the streetlight, fighting it with everything I had. The woman grabbed my arm. It's starting. We have to go. We have to hide before sunrise, before you change. The streetlight flickered once, twice, and behind us, at the edge of the block, Avery stepped into the glow, smiling like he already knew how this ends.